Feuchamaich Beagan Scots the Celtic podcast. Kimraha Huladunya, how is everyone? On today's show in Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, let's try little Gaelic. Frustrated with Gaelic and Celtic history?
The Scots' role in the American Civil War.
In everyday Celtic ways.
The Sheaf toss.
We're going to hear music from Gaidhlig, The Two of Us, Mary Black, and Kathleen McInnes. And in History of Ireland, in 1398, Gerald Fitzgerald, 3rd Earl of Desmond, mysteriously disappears. This great warrior is forever afterwards thought by his people to be sleeping in a cave under Loch Gur, waiting to gallop out on his silver-shod horse and rescue Ireland at its moment of greatest need. If you're already a subscriber to the Olde Scot YouTube channel and enjoy the variety of interesting videos and podcasts that we produce weekly, then you should join us on the Olde Scot Facebook group. Not only do you get all the great videos you already enjoy, but so much more. Come and connect with your Celtic community here on Olde Scot Facebook group. Learn the history of Gaelic songs as you learn to sing them. Gaelic and English lyrics are provided to give you a deeper understanding of the song, to guide you when you're learning, or just sit back and enjoy these beautiful songs. Today's song is Eilean Dún by Gaidhlig. Many people think this song is about Alan MacDonald of Rob Roy fame and his demise or betrayal of Rob Roy. But it has nothing to do with Robert Roy McGregor. In the movie Rob Roy, it would be silly for her to be singing the song about something that was just happening at that moment. No, Eilean Dún, Dark-Haired Alan, is a traditional Scottish song meant for a female voice. This lament was written in Gaelic for Alan Morriston by his fiancée, Annie Campbell. Alan Morriston was a sea captain from the Isle of Lewis. In the spring of 1788, he left Stornoway to go to Scalpe on the Isle of Harris, where he was to marry Annie Campbell. Unfortunately, his ship sailed into a storm, and the entire crew sank with the vessel. The broken-hearted Annie wasted away over the next few months from grief and composed this lament for her lost love in her last few days, before she lost her will to live and died. Her body was found on shore near where her fiancé's body was found. Wow, that's sad. Alright, I hope you enjoy learning Eilean Dún. And remember, the Gaelic will be at the top and the English will be at the bottom. Scottish Gaelic is native to the Gaels of Scotland. Scottish Gaelic developed out of the Old Irish, and learning this beautiful language can be a direct link to your Gaelic ancestors. Follow along in Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, and like I said, let's try a little Gaelic. Frustrated with Gaelic? An easy way to keep the Scottish Gaelic language alive is to keep it in your daily vocabulary. Little bits here and there to let those around you know how important it is to you. This is especially important if you have small children. They will have the benefits of learning another language and share a common link with you and your heritage. All right, part 10. Everybody has a morning routine, so here we go. Juisk de hosh. It means wake up, on your feet. Gav rash, take shower. Glan hiakin, brush your teeth, clean your teeth. Brush na halt, brush your hair. Cool orst huyodik, put on your clothes. And ich dav rakish, eat your breakfast. All right, it never fails that once we get ready, the chores are ready for us. Anai na soakin, doing the dishes. A kerig nan lepi, making the bed. A glanig and tie, cleaning the house. And a janiv and ni adak erik, doing the laundry. I've been up so long I haven't seen the cat. Catch a veil and cat. Where's the cat? Erda Vord. Is he on the table? Nope. Ready to Nunlepi. Is he next to the bed? Nope. On Safres. In the closet? Nope. Ach and Unik. He's at the window. All right.
Oh, Barnum, hey. Feg de volach da gasak gach njoin chun balja is kjobin eg baha vanta megor de glacha gas koiste dat haring ga broch na karing
Celtic history brings you the tales of the land, castles, warriors, heroes, legends, and customs that have created the rich, vibrant, and sometimes strange and wonderful history of the Celtic world.
The Scots' role in the American Civil War. So over 150 years ago, the American Civil War began. Scotland had a major effect on the hostilities, but the Scots didn't always back the Unionist North. In May of 1864, a young Glaswegian by the name of Bennet Graham Burleigh stared at the dark, dirty floor of his cell and considered his alternatives, neither of which were good. He could remain in this dank, filthy cell in a Union prison on Pea Patch Island in the middle of the Delaware River until they got around to shooting him as a spy, or shipped him off to one of the captured forts in Charleston Harbor as a human shield against Confederate cannons, or he could attempt to escape through the long and narrow sewage drains that flooded out into the river. Incarceration had become all too frequent in his American adventure. The son of Robert Burleigh, who owned a tool-making factory in Glasgow, Bennet had been dispatched across the Atlantic at the age of 22 in possession of his father's designs for an underwater limpet mine. Unable to persuade anyone in Britain of the mine's commercial potential, Robert figured that America, then in the grip of a civil war that pitted the Unionist North against the Confederacy of Southern states, would be more amiable. Bennet chose to favor the South with the family invention on the grounds that he had a better chance of being noticed when he reached Richmond. He was arrested and locked up for the first time in Castle Thunder, a converted warehouse, but he was released after John M. Brooke, chief of the Confederate Navy's Bureau of Ordnance and Hydrography, who was also an inventor, took shine to his plans. When Bennet tested the mine on a Unionist ship, it failed to detonate, but the excitement of espionage was addictive, and soon the Glasgow man was carrying out a host of clandestine missions for the Confederates, until captured 2 years later, planting torpedoes. Back in his cell, Bennet, assisted by 5 fellow prisoners, pried open the grill, took a deep breath, and squeezed into the flooded pipe. His fate, to that we shall return. Alright. The subject of the Scots' involvement in the American Civil War is fascinating, complicated story, which on this, over 150-year anniversary of the day the first shots were fired, deserves an airing. So, whose side was Scotland on during the 4-year campaign that led to the deaths of 620,000 soldiers and the abolition of slavery? The fact that Edinburgh is the only city outside the United States to have a monument to Abraham Lincoln in the Civil War would lead to the swift conclusion that the Scots sided with the Unionist North. But the evidence is that our greatest support, like the actions of Bennet Burleigh, favored the South and slave-owning classes. Scotland in the early 19th century was a hotbed of abolitionists. After achieving the eradication of slavery in the British Empire, they focused their fire on the United States, where the country was divided between those states who permitted slavery, the majority in the South, and those in the North, where it had largely been abolished. Yet, when war broke out in America, the most important color was not black or white, but green. The blockade set up by the Unionist North against the ports of the South brought a halt to the lucrative cotton trade between Scotland and the South. Mills shut down and thousands were out of work. However, a new business began to thrive. The shipyards on the River Clyde soon began to construct what became known as blockade runners, ships with reinforced decks and armor, designed to be equipped with cannons for use by the Confederate Navy. Strictly speaking, Britain was neutral, taking no side in the conflict across the Atlantic. So as long as the official paperwork for each vessel said it was under construction for, say, China, which happened to put it in the mid-Atlantic, and which course it then took, was of no concern to the government. So fudging paperwork to build ships for the Confederacy was the norm. By 1864, 27 shipyards on the River Clyde were working round the clock, employing 25,000 men in the construction of blockade runners. Around 3,000 Scots worked on board the vessels, breaking Britain's law against subjects becoming involved in foreign wars. But for the captains, it was a business too lucrative to ignore. Many were earning $3,000 per run, and those who made it through the blockade to Charleston with their holds laden with food and arms were able to fill them up with bales of cotton, which they then sold in Scotland for 30 times the purchase price. You had a cloak and dagger game going on between private detectives trying to follow all these Confederate agents who were going around Scotland buying up ferries and ordering these warships. And the Clyde shipbuilders were making a fortune, says Eric J. Graham, author of Clyde Built, the Blockade Runners. He maintains that, was it not for Scotland's involvement, the war would have ended 2 years earlier, after the Battle of Gettysburg and Lee's retreat into Virginia. The South had shot its bolt and would have quickly come to a negotiated settlement, but we resupplied them with blockade runners, running in ammunition from British Bahamas, and later to the American government wanted compensation for these 2 years of extra carnage. So at the end of the war, America's initial calculation was that Britain owed them over $8 billion. That was later reduced to $3.5 million, which the United Kingdom eventually paid in 1871. Which basically let them, they admitted that, yeah, they did intervene. They did intervene in a foreign war. They broke their own laws. So what the fate of Bennett Graham Burleigh? You remember that guy? The guy that had a decision whether to be shot or go down the sewage pipe? Well, 6 men in total squeezed down through the grill, only 2 of whom managed to make it through the 25-yard pipe and still have enough strength to fight the currents and reach the surface and breathe that fresh breath of air. Burleigh, of course, was one of only 2 survivors. He was picked up by a sailing ship. He persuaded the captain that he had capsized and was taken to Philadelphia, from where he headed north to Canada. However, Burleigh was not one to avoid a fight and later returned to the field of battle. At the end of the war, he was captured and stood trial. But when the first trial ended with a hung jury, he had another stroke of luck. A visitor presented him with an apple pie, in whose crust was concealed a file. That's kind of cliche, but this actually happened quite a lot back then. After sawing through the bars, he escaped again and went on to become one of Britain's most celebrated foreign correspondents, or spy, if you say.
Shenya vleo haleo horoela. Shenya vleo haleo horoela. Fala dengila dengu horoela. Be mayer smohu krug smogurach viredi. Savating voi churi, bahu krugl medi, valiche gamiusi, sles sunt ring mileag, a kishak a Julie, spahu kraglum hine, kaloi krimogucha, a duska kanishlen. Shenyev leoha, leo horoela. Shenyev leoha, leo horoela. Falla dingila dingu horoela. Bemayer smohu krag, smohurach viredi. Coman biamach anglasa hungoni, Uishtik sparich gach kalak soiker, Kumaf gechilas nar kuinga der bioiat, Elangen rivach es prishal vernoiker. Shenyev leoha, leo horoela. Shenyev leoha, leo horoela. Falla dingila dingu horoela. Bemayer smohu krag, smohurach viredi. Bevoyach an shalag, savating voichetchen, an leke marglanya, gur smaled nesperen, runchen is glanan, is bianan glaskekach, Uishtis varai, a gauat kechela. Shenyev leoha, leo horoela. Shenyev leoha, leo horoela. Falla dingila dingu horoela. Bemayer smohu krag, smohurach viredi. Hoduam sakiet sadik o banal mohukri, Skangrunich canal am balana hubrach, Gach nivi mars malay, smovia nacht or newsi, Gach uishchach sparach, hafata vonduich. Shenyev leoha, leo horoela. Shenyev leoha, leo horoela. Falla dingila dingu horoela. Bemayer smohu krag, smohurach viredi.
Everyday Celtic Ways brings you the mythology, traditions, and customs that have created a unique and personal culture that still affects those that are Celtic and those that just love the Celtic world.
The Sheaf Toss is the most unique athletic event I've ever seen or competed in. It looks simple, but once again, you're trying to defy gravity. The technique used is called the flick, or the reach and rip, or whatever. There's plenty of names for it, but one thing that is weird about this event is the way competitors fawn over the pitchforks. And these aren't your friendly farmer's pitchfork. These are special, like Homer Simpson's special bat special.
home runs you gonna hit with that?
Let's see, we play 30 games, 10 at bats a game, 3,000.
They have an unnatural fetish about them. God forbid, don't ever touch one without having permission.
Oh, yeah.
There he is, Eric Frazier.
This is the only game we do that still have pros with it. So.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
A world record by Eric Frazier.
Scaunach gaingen jiggle, Roenbach brei butter bjol, Varang fjol goed is sien, En lanach vieg an glo. Varang fjol goed is sien, En lanach vieg an glo. Vidding fe haar na money, Sveding brik as na loin. Vidding fe haar na money, Sveding brik as na loin. Lisje den ech kvi mi as ik skanke leer gom of rog. Lisje den ech kvi mi as ik skanke leer gom of rog. Skanke leer gom I sashkorm na larakam bahten am gom. Skanke leer gom I sashkorm na larakam bahten am gom. Hasnech geith dramuachgar farom I kualach nam bo. Hasnech geith dramuachgar farom I kualach nam bo. Saunten I an fertonach I a hoek mi trama guls mi og.
Top 11 Heritage. Now remember to check out my YouTube channel. It's got Celtic music, podcasts, Gaelic language, Gaelic song, Celtic history videos, plus lots more. And my Facebook group where you can give me your inputs and insights on all things Celtic.
Goodbye, Apple Baby. Masha Weave.
Goodbye, everybody. But I'm going to let you go with a song.
Distant land that were maiden hiding in the sand with her beauty. She gave thrills, mighty goddess of love, fairy of the hills. No man could defy of the lust and the promise of the light, her attraction. Overwhelmed as they swallow the bait, never back again. No one kept the fading tale, hunted by her charm. You got caught in waves of Cleona. Cleona, Cleona. Once there came a man from the faraway ground and a royal clan with his beauty. He overrode the young thief of hearts, a mortal god sent from up above. They both fallen head over heels in love, so they fled across the sea, but the vengeful wave never let them be. No one could foresee a tale can terminate that way. They couldn't keep forbidden